Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We have Commissioner Ron Loomis on Zoom again. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve the agenda dated May 4th, 2020, as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I think we have Shaylee Shea, Health Department Director. Can you hear us, Shaylee?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so as of this morning, McPherson County has 23 total confirmed positive cases of COVID-19. 16 of the 23 have met recovery guidelines, and 3 of the 23 are currently hospitalized. As far as COVID-19 grants go at the health department, I am extremely happy to announce that we were awarded $25,000 by the Kansas Health Foundation Impact and Capacity Grant Initiative. The Kansas Health Foundation is a philanthropy dedicated to improving the health of all Kansans, and their information can be found on their website at kansashealth.org. This award will be used for salary of health department staff, including overtime related to COVID-19, and then any additional expenses related to response and recovery. The second round of the Sunflower Foundation grant hasn't been open yet for additional funding. So once I hear from them, I will let you guys know. So as far as our hot topic of reopening McPherson County goes, Governor Laura Kelly announced Thursday evening her plan to reopen Kansas. Phase 1 began this morning, and in summary, there is still a 10-person gathering ban, and then businesses that will have to remain closed during Phase 1 includes bars, nightclubs, excluding any curbside or carry-out services that they've already been doing, and then non-tribal casinos, theaters, museums, other indoor leisure activities like bowling alleys, trampoline parks, arcades, fitness centers, gyms, nail salons, barbershops, hair salons, tanning salons, tattoo parlors, and any other personal service businesses. So restaurants have to follow social distancing guidelines in order to open up their dining. Those guidelines are on both the governor's page and KDHE's page. So activities and venues that are prohibited during Phase 1 includes community centers, outdoor or indoor venues with capacity of 2,000 plus, fairs, festivals, carnivals, parades, commencements, graduations, swimming pools other than people's backyard pools, and organized sport facilities and tournaments, and then summer camps. So local government isn't allowed to be less restrictive than the governor's order. However, I can be more restrictive. So there was a couple clarifications I felt that needed to be made in my local order, which should be posted shortly to the county website. But those topics are that self-serve food and beverages like salad bars, buffets, and beverage service stations are prohibited. Garage sales, yard sales, and the like are also all prohibited. And then public park equipment and seating should also remain closed as well during Phase 1. I also this weekend worked on, I believe it's 12 pages, a guidance document that goes over the recommendations from both us at MCHD, but also other sources like the National Association, CDC, KDHE, and then a couple of the recommendations also came from other health departments. And it was something that fit McPherson County too. So I put it in there just as some recommendations for people to look at. It is posted on the county website, and that is going to be where my staff and I direct businesses to go as we make recommendations over the phone. So any reports of businesses not abiding by the orders can be reported to us at the health department via phone or by emailing our general email. I think that some of the local police departments will also be kind of prepared to be getting these reports as well. So if people just want to call the non-emergency hotline, they can do that as well. But preference is they call us first. That way we can reach out and just provide guidance before law enforcement gets involved. So we still are strongly encouraging that the public wears cloth face coverings or homemade masks while out in public, especially if they're going inside any of our local businesses. So as we all get back to a very small portion of our normal, it's important to understand that the governor is going to decide when we get to move on to the next phase based on our statewide data. Something that kind of stuck out to me during Governor Kelly's speech on Thursday was that COVID-19 has really just magnified the fractures of our public health infrastructure. I hope really that each day as we just roll with the punches, we're able to take note on how as a society we can all better ourselves. And I'll continue to preach that we will not return to the normal we all lived in 2 months ago, but it will be up to all of us to decide how we want to move on from the situation. And hopefully we can all just learn from it. This morning, that's really all that I have to touch on. What questions can I answer?
Shaylee, what was the logic of saying that we couldn't do garage sales and yard sales? Because there you're out in the open and it's easy to self-distance 6 foot. What's the difference between that and a small business clothing store on Main Street?
Yeah, so that's a great point. That was something that I was on the fence about as well because of the argument that garage sales and yard sales happen outside. There was a FAQ released by KDHE late this weekend that went over most of these topics actually about their reasoning behind deciding to pick certain businesses over others. And one of those is that we can't really contact trace strangers. So if somebody was going to have a garage sale or a yard sale or an auction or something like that, the percentage of people attending are strangers. So if somebody was to say, test positive and then say, oh yeah, on Saturday I went to this address, and this address, and I went to all of their garage sales and I didn't buy anything from this one, but I did, buy stuff from this one, whatever the case is, it would be hard for us to contact trace who they were exposed to or who they exposed, just because they are probably touching. I mean, I'm a touchy-feely person anyway, so when I shop, I'm not a good person to be out and about during a pandemic because I touch everything. And so it's kind of the same guidance that comes for garage sales as well, is that it's just going to be really hard to, unless people wanted to take the initiative and say, no, only, 10 people at a time, or maybe only people that we know, that kind of thing. But that was the guidance behind making that distinction. And a couple other health departments have done the same thing, just because the KDHE was just strongly encouraging that if contact tracing wouldn't be something that we could do because of a activity or a business, then it would be something that we would be able to locally decide on.
Okay, I can understand that, but I think I have seen sign-in sheets at various places.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to somebody reaching out and saying, we're going to do a sign-in version because we're going to have a warehouse sale, that kind of thing. It would really just depend on them reaching out and getting that guidance from us, because we can't,
Okay.
It's kind of a fine line to walk and just more stuff for everybody to police.
Right. What's been the discussion on this phase one? I can't see that they've released enough of the requirements to get enough of a sample of who's going to be contagious. It looks to me like we're still in the same mode yet as we were before.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's kind of the problem that we are having locally, is that we don't feel like we're seeing our influx or seeing a surge at this point. And so it'll be really difficult if the governor decides to not move past phase one on May 18th, just because maybe locally we're not seeing that. I think it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see what she decides to do, because I know that there has been a lot of controversy over certain businesses being allowed to open and certain businesses not allowed to be open. So I don't know if that will force the governor's hand and she will move on just based on people like McPherson County that has been able to maintain at a pretty steady rate and not have any evidence of like a surge surge capacity on our healthcare. But
okay, but in my opinion, some of these small hair salons, they're a whole lot safer than Walmart. You go to Walmart and the people are crowded in there.
Right,
So
yeah, and
I can't see where we've done any good at all.
Yeah, and I agree. And that was the argument too, is, well, what changed? Because from the stay-at-home order to this phase one, it really didn't change much other than just having the strong impact it does on our barbers and hair salons and nail salons and that like of things, just because they weren't allowed to operate in the stay-at-home order, and they're also not allowed to operate in this phase one. I feel very confident in our local businesses that provide all of those services, because over the last week, my team and I have probably talked to everyone who has those businesses, not only one time, but multiple times, just trying to walk through what they could do in the meantime of trying to get through this phase one. So the unfortunate part is it is an executive order, so it forces law enforcement and myself to enforce it. But I agree with you as well, as far as it's probably our salons and barbers are a lot safer than probably Walmart or Dillon's is.
What's been the discussion? I've talked to several people across the state that they're in counties that have zero. How are they going to level the curve? I mean,
exactly.
they have no way to go down. So this thing is crazy.
Yeah, no, and that's a great
They ought to have been released and let go right now.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely a hard pill to swallow on Thursday when that happened, because I think a lot of us were thinking she was going to give the ultimate power back to local governments and maybe just release a framework that we could be more or less of, and then just kind of say, well, if you decide to just open it wide open, then your community has to deal with it. But that wasn't what she did. So yeah, I agree with their point and your point, as far as it's definitely a difficult situation to try and manage right now.
Well, yeah, it's not, and it looks to me like we're letting Walmart have all of our profits and taking it out of town, and our little guys are just shut down. It's just crazy.
Right. Yep. It's definitely a tough situation.
Another thing to notice when you through the news or other publications, when you look at the cases, when county by county, when they have the red screen up there or whatever it is with the numbers, they don't take into account who's gotten over this. It's just the peak number is all you get to look at. So it is kind of shocking. But like Ron out west, I would think most of those are zeros now, not one or two. McPherson County still got a 23 on it. That's really not the case.
Yeah, I counted up all the counties that with 0 and under 5 cases. That's 63, and then you can go up to 10 cases is another 15. So you're right at 80 counties that and they only have 5 deaths cumulative in all of that area. So it's crazy. We need to let them go.
Yeah, nope, and I agree with that. And this weekend we asked the state why they weren't really broadcasting like our recovery numbers and that kind of stuff. And of course, the news can do whatever they want with what numbers they decide to broadcast. But even the state, if they would put more emphasis on our recovery numbers and the better side of our data, at least, their reasoning behind not doing that was because they don't feel confident in the data that they have about those that have recovered, whether that's people aren't reporting the recovery rates as fast as they're reporting the deaths and the infection rates. They don't really know, but that was their reasoning this weekend, was that they just don't feel confident in their data to put out a number saying, yeah, maybe 75% of us have recovered, but We don't know, that could be actually 90%. The data is lagging so bad on recovery times that they don't want to put that out yet.
Yeah.
Shaylee, last week you had touched on a speedy test, I think, that you were still waiting. Do you have any updates on that?
I wish I did. I still don't have any, and I don't think anybody locally has them. I do know that labs are starting to get approved to do the COVID testing, just like the regular, not the speedy test, but just if they have the equipment in their lab to do the regular timed test, it's really not that much quicker than doing a speedy test, because if your hospital's not overwhelmed, you could probably have a 1 or 2 hour result time. The problem is that smaller labs, especially in places like McPherson County, we just don't have the equipment to do that. So we do really have to just depend on those quick testing kits. But I haven't heard anything about those yet either. Hopefully today they would maybe have a good update for us, but I still haven't heard anything.
Yeah, Shaylee, as far as some of these counties that we were talking about that have very few, there's very few people that are affected by it. Is there a possibility that she would open up some of these counties or regions and they would have more flexibility than some of these others where there's a lot of cases that are still showing up? Is there any talk at all about that?
I haven't heard any talk from the state about that. It's been talked about between local health departments, because we're already divvied up into regions anyways because of all of our grants and all of that stuff. The problem with our location is that one of our regions, we're partnered with Sedgwick County. So if they went by that region, we'd probably kind of get the short end of the stick on being forced to close if other regions were able to open up. My hopes would be that she would maybe look at county by county rates and just see, like, if they would reach out and talk to the local health officials in the healthcare system to say, how are you guys doing? Do you feel like it's manageable? Do you feel safe enough to open back up or to do whatever? That would be the best case scenario. I just don't think that is what is going to happen. Health departments have talked about it because that's really what we're pushing to happen, because like you guys have said, there's counties that literally have 0 or maybe had 1 and they're now recovered, and so they have 0 again. But same with McPherson County, is we've just had people trickle in. So if next week we said, hey, we're going to move on to phase 2 and open this stuff up, then that would be awesome, because I think that's something that we would be able to do. The problem is the governor won't let us do that yet. So.
Right. And Shaylee, Ron mentioned something about garage sales. I mean, is that something, if they would register each person that walks up there, would that be something that maybe we could reconsider, or is that something you just feel comfortable enough with that you think we probably ought to stay to that for another 2 weeks?
I think we could reconsider it if people were willing to do that. The problem that we've ran into when talking to churches or other small businesses, as far as like keeping some type of log for people to come in and out on and to leave their name and phone number, is that people don't want to give that information. And so there's some places that they feel like they can do that with their customers because they are fine with that and they know the reason behind asking for their name and phone number. But there is also the group of people that don't want to do that. And so I think if I am not set in stone as far as the garage sale thing goes, that was just something that other health departments had started to do. And it was something that I seen fit as well, just because of talking to other businesses. They felt there would be some pushback as far as having to keep a log and having people to check in and out. But if we get calls or remarks from people saying, no, we'll totally do that, we will follow the recommendation, this is what we're going to do, I don't feel strongly about saying, nope, sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it for 2 weeks. So that I'm totally fine with reconsidering that.
Yeah, and we'll trust your judgment on that too. You know, it is the spring of the year, and a lot of garage sales would be going on right now. But and I guess congratulations on that $25,000 grant, Shaylee.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was awesome to get in my email. don't have a lot of good news in my email usually, and that
Yeah.
was definitely definitely some good news.
Well, congratulations on that. Any other questions from my commissioners?
No, I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you,
well,
Lily.
yeah, thanks a lot, Shaylee, for the good work.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, guys.
Okay, let's go ahead and approve the minutes from last week.
I didn't have any corrections. They look
All
fine.
right, they look good to me.
Yep, I'm fine with it. Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 27th.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, let's go ahead. Captain Arlo Blevins, are you there?
Yes, good morning. How are you
Good
guys doing?
morning.
Morning.
Well, I've got just a short presentation, just a PCN this morning. So had a vacancy come up. We have now filled that vacancy with Andrea Turner. She's going to be starting a week from this coming Friday at a 13A. Be on the midnight to 8 shift. So we wish her luck with that. She's going to do a great job.
Yeah, just looking at her resume here, it looks good.
Yeah, she's young, but she's got wants a future in law enforcement. So this is a good way to start.
Is she still going to college at Barton? Or is
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she is doing that all online though. We asked her about that and make sure we weren't getting into something that was only going to be a summer long. So she's doing it all online.
Okay. Because don't want to interfere with her getting her degree or whatever in criminal justice. So
Exactly.
okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion on Andre Turner.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the PCN for new employee hire of Andrea Turner, effective date 5/15/2020, as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the checks and claims. Accounts payable.
I didn't have any issues on it.
On page 10, Rick, we had a let's see. We had some iPads we bought. Let's see where that was at. It's like
Looks like 2 iPads.
yeah, 1500
On page 11, I think.
page 11, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, was that just for 2 iPads? C
11 of 29?
CDW government.
The last item
Oh,
there.
yes.
Yeah, $3,084.
And those were for the district, those were for PERT services.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we had one on 15. I just was wondering about the cost. It was MKC, the $689. Fuel tank nozzle, unleaded fuel tank nozzle,
Swivels
and
on
swivels.
your public works fuel tank system out there that anyone can use.
Okay. So that was for probably several pumps too then, probably. Okay. $689. Okay. I didn't have any more questions.
No, I didn't have any.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable and payroll.
I'll second your motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Rick, you want to bring a presentation on the old mill?
Yes, you have in your packets from Lorna to redo the mill turbine roof housing at the mill turbine building at the old mill. There was one bid submitted, Sproul's Construction and Restoration, and out of Marion, Kansas, for a total cost of about $6,050. And these funds are available, as you recall that you received from the Nut Foundation $100,000 a year ago, and there still remains about $49,000 in that fund, and so this payment will be coming from the Nut Foundation grant dollars. So it will not be tax dollars, excuse me, per se. So
It'll be all private money.
all private money, correct. This is a project they've wanted completed for years. It's just never really had a contractor willing to submit a proposal on it. And it's in total disrepairs.
Yeah, I checked it out yesterday. It definitely looks just as bad as the picture shows. And it is, it's kind of hanging out over the river there, so they will have to take some precautions when they work on that.
Make them wear a life vest in case they fall in. Huh?
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Okay.
Okay, I will entertain a motion unless anybody has any more questions.
No.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the bid on the mill turbine housing repairs not to exceed $6,050. Proceeds coming from the Nut donation funds.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
I would just like to give an update to the commissioners and those listening that the county courthouse will remain closed to the public until Monday, the 18th. There will be postings on the county's website by some of the respective departments sometime this week as to contacting that individual department if you would like to set up an appointment for work you want to take care of in the courthouse. There are some other limits that even if you call, you will not be allowed to process any, registered deeds office is not going to process any passports until June 1st at the soonest, and it will be evaluated at that time whether they want to extend that, but June 1st would be the earliest. All the property tax payments that can be postmarked up to the 11th, they're due on the 10th, but up to the 11th on a postage mark, those all need to be submitted and paid by mail. There won't be any walk-in traffic on that. If you do want to set up an appointment with the motor vehicle office regarding title transfers or something of that sort, you can call the motor vehicle office and they can discuss an appointment time with you. All renewals for vehicles will be by postage mail only for at least a month, if not longer. That's pretty much all I have. The appraiser's office, same thing. There shouldn't be much activity regarding that. Valuation notices are going out, but those can also be handled by phone.
So do you have the outside doors locked, or are you just locking inside department doors?
No, the outside doors are locked. Someone that wants to set up an appointment, they will call that respective department. That department will let them into the courthouse and escort them to their office.
Right, okay.
I've not heard on the courts yet. I know they are closed to the public at this point in time, but their directives come from the state, from the court system, and they should have their recommendations either sometime this week, probably by Wednesday.
Okay.
And this will be at least for 2 weeks yet, is that right?
To the 18th.
Yes.
I would, if everything goes well, as Shelley hopes everything goes well, I would say the courthouse would be open to the general public on the 18th.
Okay, any other questions, comments from the commissioners? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.